Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter. In the last episode, we started out as Marianne. We met Luke.
Drunken guy.
Yeah.
Who shall not be named.
No names.
Whiskey was his name.
Not
at all related to a Mr. Wright, was it? Married, socialite, runs some big-ass business.
Something like that.
Just took possession of the Ermengarde mansion.
Yeah. Not to give it away. But anyway, so we just went to the library, ran into Rebecca. Now I guess we're getting food. As it looks, I'm on the clock starting today. Might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of the Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. Jeez. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new.
I don't think I reread a book that many times.
No. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis sound device.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
My French is not that good.
Something about consequences.
The wound being without any consequence.
I got that at least.
Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Luxbourne branch isn't too far from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use the time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There will be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but it is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend. But they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Horskova Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though.
Was it a potato crisis? I made an Irish joke.
You're on timeout. Everything is quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes through the door looking as if she's just seen one.
What day is it?
This is, I believe, the day that she saw...
The letter the first time?
No.
Is this the one where the Rose is already dead?
No, this is the one...
Is this for the Wrights came in and threw a bunch of money at her?
Yeah, so they went out to lunch, and on their way back, remember, Isabella freaked out.
Okay, yeah, she saw it in the window.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the timeline now.
You with us now?
I'm on the timeline now.
She looks at me, wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd pointed out I wanted to inquire, but that would be unprofessional. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
I wonder if we had done a better job, because see, our relationship with Isabella is so bad.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if we could have asked her what was up.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, but it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of the smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games.
Wait. Hold it. Okay. Number one, you are a gamer, so that's bullshit to complain about someone playing a phone game. Two, how are you judging somebody?
You don't know her. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thingy during work hours, too.
It's an actual game. I want to play Batcat.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it him saving the city? Is it a match 3?
I don't know. Like
is it you build your little like Batcat kingdom and then you go fight other Batcat kingdoms?
All right, remind me after this episode, because this company makes mobile games. I so want to check to see if they made a Batcat game.
I don't think they do. I think this is their only game besides the Love Esquire game they're coming out with.
Oh, I thought that they did mobile games. All right, I just made that up. Whatever. Anyway.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
That explains a lot with the noodles.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie.
Which attic were we in?
This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest, it's a thing of beauty. Look at those gorgeous rooms, a delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to have addressed during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos's incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think of what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nests there.
Just a dead woman.
Yeah, it's fine. No vermin.
No vermin.
Just dead people.
Yep. We're cool with that.
Yeah. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering. Even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the young woman, though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond?
Wow.
You want to go with, you have something to say?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't sound as bitchy as it sounds there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better than I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, see, we're making some headway.
Yeah.
I give her time to speak up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her hand and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
She really isn't too professional, is she? I can't help but wonder why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion. I would say that she's too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself. Her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself as one and if Miss Cooper hadn't vouched for her. Why, she looks like she could still be in college. Acts a bit like it, too. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the real estate agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
You're kind of a bitch.
Maybe I took that a bit too far. You
Yeah,
think? She bites her cheek, and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
Yeah, how about the fact that she's caring for her family of like 20 and her dad's dying, you jerk? You never know people's lives. That's why you don't ever be a bitch.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it, but the hurt is there. And if I were a bitter person, I would have snapped at her. You didn't become some famous artist to be feted by the art world like you thought you would be. Big whoop. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place, and the sooner she figures that out, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh.
She's a very bitter woman, by the way.
A little bit.
Like, did she never go to Disneyland?
No, did you? Her bio is actually like pretty sad.
I saw that, but you can like make better of your life in the world. Just get over your own baggage, woman.
The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was
Well,
younger.
if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
Again, ouch. Woman.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid.
Grow up, kid achievement? That's not an achievement, that's just mean.
Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable. Then by all means.
Do you enjoy making
if
everybody
you wanted to
else
look at the
miserable?
floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Agreed.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. Doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave as she has
All right.
said. Lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression.
I'd like to point out I haven't liked Marianne since this game started, and I really don't like her now. Between the whole sleeping with the asshole thing to her berating someone when she doesn't understand why they've made the choices that they made.
Yeah.
That's like such a bad hypocrite, especially for the fact that she has a tragic backstory. You have to assume everybody has a tragic backstory.
It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail it out of the realty office as quick as I can.
Should.
Though I am able to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And
Dead
seeing
chick?
that most of the day has already gone by before I realize it, I choose to head back to my flat
I
instead.
found the person you should murder.
Despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Oh, alright, we're already moving on to the next day. Monday couldn't come any sooner. Alright, so the 24th, I just kind of want to see... Alright, so that wasn't... Nothing really useful happened there. So the 23rd was the day...
She saw Professor Clark.
Okay, and then...
She ran into Marianne again in the...
Oh, so we're going to run into her in the park.
And...
In the... Oh, and then Rose.
Yep.
So that'll be during the night.
Yep.
Or is today... Did they say today's the 24th?
I don't remember. 24th.
I think... Yeah, okay. So it's after that.
Yep.
After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based on from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. Makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm safe from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top, the penthouse, the creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. Oh.
So they're going to see the Wrights.
Yeah, so this was that meeting. Remember the one that where Hana's like, yeah, I guess I'll make time.
Yep.
I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks just to secure a key card. Not only because of the building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their home. Even their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence. The process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil. The elevator door opens and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting, but I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea.
It's a weird couch, by the way. I just looked at it.
Yeah. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people didn't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes, or even 10. I sit in their living room just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling, the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill my tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I'm not normally this nosy.
Continue waiting?
That's kind of how I felt. That was like my first instinct.
This is not my house.
Yeah, I feel like just wandering around is probably...
Yep.
I have no business with it. These rich people usually value their privacy above all else, after all. Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. Then again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give two shits about what goes on with people like them. And I'm not going to get caught snooping about and be accused of some imagined wrongdoing. I'm not going to be some busybody detective wannabe and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just something mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. I was going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Wright, with my tea, in complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hadn't heard the crash, I doubt he would have heard my...
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera, the LBC News would be fine. The William Walker Show is on too if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does. The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics and I want to see the second meet sixth in Spain. If not, just the news then. Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
He just ignored the crash a while ago then? Whatever. Touching the remote, I turn the TV on in hopes of filling the silence. Oh, I'm actually glad because we're probably going to watch the news and we're going to see...
Rose dead.
Yeah, trying to anyway because the thing won't turn on. And doesn't that make the silence more awkward or what? I know I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure I can work a simple television remote.
Batteries must be dead.
Ooh, is she blonde?
Wait, yeah. Wait, what? There's blood everywhere. Help me, it says in red. I look at my own hands and find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there is nothing staining my skin, I can feel the sticky and warm feeling of blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips and skin so fair and swaying hips. I want nothing more than to hold her, plant my lips on her neck, and to run my fingers through her hair. She laughs and smiles when she looks at me, but where are her eyes? Temptation is gone in an instant, and I recoil, horrified at this reflection I'm seeing. Only to back into something, or rather someone. Hana, yeah.
Yep.
Mrs. Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I ground and remind myself that this is my client. Whatever I just saw, well, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that perhaps I'm going a bit daft. It would be preferable, of course, to think it was all the trick of the light or the makings of an overactive imagination.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you all right, dear? You're looking a bit pale. Haven't you had breakfast yet?
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in.
Talking about waffles, we would have been on board.
It's true. Pancakes are good, though.
You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you.
Blueberry
And are you
pancakes now.
sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
Looking down at my hands, I can see them trembling. Really? Just because she looks so much like her, I'm becoming a damn train wreck. I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion.
So it's not her that she's talking about. I thought it was Miss Wright.
I did too.
She looks like her.
With so many blondes in the world, what was different with her? What was different this time? I don't like either of these choices.
I don't either. I don't like any of these choices at all whenever we have to pick them.
Well, like this...
I'm not feeling too well. Seems like I'm copping out of the meeting.
Yeah.
And I just remembered something seems vague. Like, are we gonna bolt? Because we remembered, like, we left the something on.
Yeah, that's like, I don't want this to end. I feel like either one of these has the potential to, like, end the whole conversation.
Right.
Maybe I just remembered something?
Yeah.
I just remembered something, that's all. It's nothing to worry about.
Oh, okay.
We got points.
We got points, so I guess that's good.
Are you sure? I am all ears if there is something bothering you. I don't mind a good story, and I don't want it to affect your work performance.
Gossipy wagon, isn't she? She should just leave you alone. It's not like you need her.
You don't have to worry about that, Mrs. Wright. I say business stays business, and anything else can stay in the doghouse until I'm done with work.
Interesting. I have to bear through it, don't I? If I tell her that I'm hearing voices, that'd be a fast track straight to the nut house. What else can I do? I do not know how to say that saint's name. Whatever.
Dimphna?
Sure. Help me, lest I become like her father Damon, insane at the thought of a lost love and mad in the pursuit of another.
Shall we talk about your work then?
If you'd like. It's on your time, after all.
I've been told many good things about you, and I've seen some of your work before. Others speak very highly of your work etiquette, yet I've never heard of you before. Not even a whisper of the McCullough name.
Well, I've only been in Luxbourne for 4 years. Tried to make it big in London for nearly 3 years before, and I've only been working these high-quality projects for the past year.
I stick straight to the point. It's best to be brief when talking to clients. After all, keep it clean cut as much as possible. Yet at the same time, I have to make it engaging so it doesn't look like I don't want to talk to
I
them.
imagine it hasn't been easy. I can't see why you've moved from London to Luxbourne, though.
Job vacancies were fewer at the time, and I had a lot of competition in London. Let's not even talk about the living costs there. But I'm glad I moved here, even if it hadn't been smooth sailing. If I had it easy, I probably wouldn't be working projects like these.
Why even bother explaining to her? She won't understand. She's practically born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
Who's talking? I think it's whoever she was in love with. I think
Yeah.
she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have split personality disorder though?
I don't think so. No, I'm like fairly certain. Because like the ghost was making for Zach was making it seem like his
his
ma's
mother.
song.
Yep. So it's trying to go after like things that are emotional to you.
Yeah.
The woman could probably snap her fingers and have servants attending to her beck and call.
Does look the part of a spoiled heiress, doesn't she? It would be a relief if she's just that. Something that's different from Miss Wright and her. Before she can get another word in, words that may have proven me wrong or right, she looks up at the loft with a fond expression on her face. With just a simple glance, she can put in so much love that I feel a tad bit jealous of whoever holds it.
Good morning, Luke, darling.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is that I wake up to such a beautiful sight. I do hope you two are getting along. I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
What? I'm not a pig. You don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
Look how he says her name.
With a saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think, you are a bit of a pig, Whiskey.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
What?
The only styles she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Rich people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
And we'll discuss that business over food in the next episode while we go get some food. I think that's the plan.
Pancakes?
Yeah.
No.
All right, we're going to go ahead and have some
Waffles?
and then we'll be back the next episode. That's going to do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.